You're listening to the Be Who You Came to Be podcast. I'm your host, Tara Renze, and do I have a treat for you today? Today, I'm sitting down with Chip Baker. He is an educator, a keynote speaker, an author, and the creator of the Success Chronicles. And here's what I love about Chip is he has a heart for service. And that is exactly what we're going to be diving in today. How serving others. Here's the thing, it just doesn't make the world a better place. So often serving others helps us become who we were meant to be, who we came to be. So if you've ever wondered, what is my purpose? What am I meant to do? This conversation might surprise you because sometimes chasing clarity comes from not just chasing success, but from pouring into others. Chip, welcome to the show.
Hello, Tara. Thank you so much for the amazing opportunity to be here with you. I've been looking forward to it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've been looking forward to it since I was on your show, the Success Chronicles, which why don't we just start right there? Because you've interviewed hundreds of people. Hundreds of people. Tell us a little bit about how you got started. How many people is it exactly?
Yeah, so just dropped episode 429 the other day. So it's crazy.
That's crazy. 429 conversations that you've had that have all come from this like heart of service. And why did you start the podcast to begin with?
So, I'm like I love having conversations where I get to learn, just picking people's brains, and I have a love for music and entertainment and technology and learning things, and so really I just took all of that and put it together and made the Success Chronicles. And so the Success Chronicles is something that I would love to watch and listen to every day. So I just made that product, right? And so it's really truly surprised me. Like when I started, like I had no knowledge of any of it. So along the journey, I'm continuing to grow and learn so much, and I think that's the exciting part because it's never a dull moment. It's never a stagnant moment because I'm continuing to learn, and I love highlighting others too. So that's the big piece.
Yeah, you're really good at shining light on other people. How long have you been producing the Success Chronicles? 9 years. So you were like one of the OG podcasters.
OG, that's what. Yeah, OG podcaster. I love that.
Who was your first guest?
Oh man, my first guest was Mike Truth Johnston, and like I'm a music guy, and for those of you guys that are familiar with Texas, there's a big music festival, South by Southwest, and I met him at a Young Money party. Lil Wayne, he was doing a live Lil Wayne painting at the place at the event, and I thought it was so cool. Met him, got to know him. Come to find out that both of us were educators. He was a teacher. He did the mural thing on the side, and like if you're ever in Austin, Texas, any of the big murals that you see around, if you see Truth written on the bottom, that's him, Mike Truth Johnson. And so I mean, he has stuff all over the world, but that's where he's based on, and he was my very first episode.
And what inspired you to just start the podcast and be like, okay, I'm going to start this and start bringing people on? And I know you said you have a love for music and education, but there had to have been a real driving force.
Just wanted to put positivity out there. There's in what I do lots, so I'm always tired, so I never have a problem sleeping. But there's been about 3 or 4 times in my life where like I couldn't sleep because I had a burning desire to do something, and this was one of those times. Like I can remember my very first like single podcast, if you will, like just inspiration I did. It was like in the middle of the night. I was like, man, I'm just gonna get up and just record myself and just talk. We'll just see where we go with that. And I shared this story, and from there it just blossomed from there. And like now, it's crazy to see the growth. Like I don't even want to look at that now because it's so like it's horrible. Like the quality.
No, it's not. I know what you're saying though. Those early on videos where you see yourself and you're like, cringe. But you know what? Like that's the only way we get better is you got to start somewhere.
Sure. No, definitely. definitely grateful for the growth, from that, like just even the quality is better. And I say quality, I mean that in lots of ways, right? The quality of my message, how I deliver my message, the quality of the technology at the time, like I was just working with what I had, a little single old camera, no microphone. I mean, just the quality, lighting, no lighting, none of that stuff. And so now, just learning all of those things over the years, and now I think I look a little better with the lighting, and maybe I sound a little better with this nice mic,
You
like all
sound
of that
great. You
stuff.
look great. I
Yeah,
think it's interesting because I'll go back and listen to some of my early stuff and watch it, and obviously my delivery's gotten better. Just the overall, like, the thoughts are just so much deeper. But what's so interesting is those original seeds are still what I'm talking about today. They've just blossomed and grown so much. So it's real. It's a really cool feeling to go back and be like, oh my gosh, it was so interesting to see how I talked about it early on, and then just how the message has grown so much over the past 7 years for me.
yeah, it's the because really when you look at it, regardless of time, regardless of circumstances, regardless of situations, that's the core essence of who you are. And so it's the same way for me. I catch myself going back to those same principles from then, but really I'm grateful for that too, because it allows me to have consistency. I know he's the same dude. Like, what you're gonna get from Chip, but he's the same dude, and so I'm grateful for that, because it takes work to be able to have consistency.
Yeah. I think for me, so much of the my message has grown really about kind of what we're talking about today, of the service leadership into others. And so where I've really leaned in was where I saw the message making an impact, where I saw the message resonating with others, we're changing the way people felt about themselves, how they approached relationships, how they showed up. And so that was always my guiding light, was like, how do I take to continue to grow this message so that it truly helps other people?
Let me give him some math. Let me give him some math. I believe that input equals output, right? And just like you said when you said the little spiel that you said there, you said grow. You said it about 3 or 4 times. Growth, grow, and so in order for us to have that growth, we have to, work at having the growth. And just like you said, going back to it's the core essence of who we are, but like my delivery is better because I've worked at growing. I saw that it makes a difference, right? So it's motivated me to research. It's motivated me to have deeper and more in-depth conversations so that I can deliver that to others in an effective way. It's motivated me to hone my skills and to work at being better in my craft. So now, like when you get it, man, I'm really giving it to you.
Yeah. I was talking with another speaker friend of mine just yesterday. I was out walking my dogs and we were chatting, and we were talking about how there's really nothing better. There's no better way to grow than to put in the reps. And it's no different than, how basketball players get better or athletes get better. You keep putting the reps in.
Yeah, I say that all the time. Reps make you better, and it's just like me being an athlete as well. I liken it to like the weight room, right? Like I can't go in the weight room and look at the bar and expect to be stronger.
I wish that worked like that,
Oh,
Chip.
well, boy, no doubt. I can't.
I just
I
be in the
can't.
gym all day staring at the equipment.
Yeah, that's easy. Everybody do that. But like I wish it happened, but it doesn't happen like that. You have to put the reps in, the work in, and what happens when you put the reps in, you learn more than you ever thought you would learn. Right? Like just organically, okay, you learn proper technique. That's great. You got to have proper technique in anything you're doing. You learn, you get a stronger mindset, because sometimes you ain't gonna feel like it, right? But on the other side of your toughest challenges is your maximum growth. So now, come on, put the weight on there. Let's go to work, right? I want to struggle, because I know I'm gonna be better on the other side of it. You learn mental toughness. You learn so many things about yourself in that process, and you can use that for, like, pick a scenario. You can use that for any scenario. Reps make you better.
Yeah, they really, really do. So let's go back to, I want to talk about your background in education. And I think that servant leadership really starts for me. I think about the best, some of the best leaders that I have had in my life were actually my teachers early on. And I come from a lineage of educators. My mom ran a preschool and she taught education. Then she taught primarily kindergarten through third grade. My brother's a music educator. My aunt and uncles were educators. My niece is an educator, just lots of educators in my family. So was that were you in education to start?
Oh yes, my whole life I worked to be doing this as an educator. So I'm a fourth generation educator. Mom, grandmother, great grandmother were retired educators, and they were those that even when they retired, they were still at the school, right? Like those types, like
Yeah.
even like, and didn't you retire like 10 years ago? You still subbing, right? Like, oh yeah, that's Miss Baker. Last
Yeah.
okay, well, come on in. Uh, and so I was taught at an early age that it's about service, right? So I tell people this is a South thing. I come from a family of church folk and education. I ain't put the S on there, right? Church folk. And when you say when you don't put the S on, that means that we did church a lot. And my mother was a minister of music as well at our churches. My grandmother was a minister. So those two things, uh, being of church, being around church, service, and education, service, right? It taught me at a young age to be of service and help others and know that it was not about me, it's bigger than me. And so as I grew, there's countless stories of me being around, people and seeing the difference that my family members made in the lives of others. And I hear stories, continue to hear stories today, about, the great things they were doing. And even people, this is cool, people that loved me and took care of me because of what the people that came before me did for them. And so now in my life, and my younger sister's an educator as well, now in my life, my son is seeing the benefits of some of that from the things that I've done as well. And so that's when the cycle gets really good, because going into it, the service piece is not about me, and then living the legacy piece, that's not about me either, right? And so that's what I'm truly grateful for in that journey. But yeah, I always wanted to be an educator because I saw the difference that it made, and I just wanted to strive to do things that make my family proud.
Oh, I feel so much of that. What type of education did you go into?
Yeah, so I've done junior high or secondary education. So when I started my career, my first 3 years were junior high. Then the rest of my 26 years have been high school education, and my field is special education. So I've done pretty much everything under the special ed umbrella that you can do. Coached for 20 of those 26 years. Coached football, powerlifting, been an athletic director, head football coach. So done some leadership things, assistant principal. So I've done a lot as far as the service piece, and learned a lot as far as leadership as well.
Yeah. So I grew up in this really small town in north central Kansas. And when I say small, I mean like 300 people small. And we were church folk too. We spent a lot of time at our church, just everything from youth groups to confirmation to, my mom ran the children's choir. We
Vacation
just
Bible
were
school,
yes,
all of
VB,
that.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
VBS.
yeah,
Could
yeah.
we just take a second to talk about how many amazing memories were made at VBS? Okay, this is a test. I'm going to see if you know the call to this VBS chant that we used to do all the time. Are you ready? Are you
Let's
ready?
go.
Okay.
I didn't know I was gonna be put on
Hallelujah,
the spot.
hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Oh
You know,
no!
you don't know
Yeah,
it?
what?
Praise ye the Lord.
Oh
My
yeah, yeah,
brother and
yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah.
do you remember this one?
Yeah,
My
yeah,
brother and I
yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
laughing so hard. We actually, well, sadly, we were at a funeral at this church that we went to VBS at, and they used to pair us on either side of the sanctuary. So the left side would
Yep.
sing Alleluia, the other
Other
side would
side,
sing
praise ye the
Praise ye
Lord.
the Lord, and then
Yep.
you'd start yelling it. It was like who could do it louder? And by the end, it was just a
Oh
bunch
my
of kids
gosh.
screaming
Screaming.
Alleluia and Praise ye the
Yep.
Lord at the top of their
Yep.
lungs. I mean,
No doubt.
amazing VBS memories.
Yeah, so good, man. So good, Tara. That's it's like those experiences are priceless.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and these are these really core memories that my brothers and I have from this small town. And so much of what you were saying is like this legacy of leadership, of love, of service. My family, for 117 years, has ran a community bank in this small town. So it's an ag lending bank primarily, but it also is the heartbeat of this town. And the entire basis for that bank is built on relationships and to pouring into others and to believing in other people and giving them the means to start their business and to keep the community fueling and flowing. And I think when you have these small town roots, everything that we did was in service. Everything. I think back to my grandparents, and like you said, those favors that were given to me because of relationships and service that were built 2 generations prior to me. And I think that's the beauty of when yes, we're still focused on our own goals, making money, making a living, doing our passions and purpose. But when they're directed at the service of others, which is truly what we do as keynote speakers. It's why I keynote speak, is because I have seen how the message impacts other people, and I want to keep sharing it. I mean, if everyone was like, this message didn't matter to me, I obviously wouldn't still be doing it. But I think when we go through life with that lens, it does change everything.
You said lens. That made me think about this scenario. So both of us have glasses, right? And before we got our glasses, lenses, if you will, we saw things in a certain way, right? And then when we got those glasses, it helped us with the proper perspective, right? So now we can read the fine print. Now, man, trees really do have leaves. Like I can see the leaves on the trees, right?
Yeah.
Like all of those things, like it gives us the perspective that we need. And so, what you talked about is when we can have the proper perspective and we can see things through the right lens. Ah, man, how we view what we do will always affect how we do what we do. And so it's important for us to see things the right way with the proper perspective, positive perspective, because on the other side of that, great things happen.
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer that, perspective is our reality, but we can choose how we see things. Let me ask you this. So, well, first off, I do also want to know, before we get into a few more like really specific things on service leadership, tell us about your background in music.
My 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 mother, who was minister of music in our churches, she would always say, "You're gonna give service, right? Like you're made to give service. You're either gonna sing in the choir, or you're gonna be an usher, right?" And and so, I tried to sing in the choir thing. I just, I don't need any attention. Mama making us do it. I'm there. But then she wanted me to do like solos and like all of this stuff. Like, no, I think I'm gonna go back there with him and do that.
You were like, I'll be an usher.
Yeah. I'm
I'll
gonna
hand
go.
out the offering plates.
Yeah, I'll go do that. I'll go do that. And so I chose to do that. But my love of music really stemmed from that. Just watching my mother. So my grandmother, this is cool. So my grandmother, she was like highly trained classical music, like big time. She's a long time music teacher. I mean, and she's played for some greats like over the years but then my mother, she was not that. So she played, by ear. And it was amazing to me to always, like be at something and people would sing and she wouldn't know the song and she would just follow along with them, like the key. Like, and I was like, that is amazing. You know, like how do you do that? Right? And so that always, kind of sparked my interest and gave me a big appreciation for those people that were talented. And then, of course, played the drums in church, played the trombone in the band, growing up. And then, until, I started playing sports. And so I had to leave all that stuff alone. Once I started playing sports, all of that stuff was over, right? But just love music, man. I love listening to music. I love it.
Yeah, what's your favorite genre?
Hip hop.
Hip hop. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I grew up with a appreciation for music too. Both my parents were musicians. My dad played the trumpet. My mom, sang in the church choir. She ran our church choir. She also played flute. And my oldest brother is a music educator, and he still it's just to see the impact that he's made in so many kids' lives, and then the impact he's made through music through so many people's lives. So I actually went to college on a theater and voice scholarship when I first started. My brother's a percussion performance. We all played in the band and the orchestra, and so I was raised with such appreciation for music too. And I think it did change just how I see life in general. And my dad loved jazz music, but he listened. But we also listened to the Oak Ridge Boys growing up. Just so many different types. And then obviously like classical music, I was trained in classical music. And musicians are service leaders, they play the music that they love and they play because they love it, but who is the beneficiary of their love for music? Or all of us who get to listen.
Yeah, everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's cool to know about your background. Congrats on that.
Yeah, it's fun. My boys are athletes, so I always joke. I'm like, oh, maybe they'll have a child someday that'll reignite the love for music. My brother's children his oldest daughter she's a great singer and she's really loving music. And Sam plays the drums, his son. So
I wish. So I had taken, because my grandmother owned like a music studio in our town. She taught piano and organ lessons. And so, I had started, taking lessons. And I wish I had continued that. That's one thing that I wish I would have continued doing. I don't have a lot of regrets in my life, but I wish I had continued playing like piano, organ.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I was not a good piano student. In fact, my teacher eventually, she was like, I'm not going to be Tara's piano teacher anymore because she's not practicing. And my mom was like, your teacher just fired you. Like, she doesn't even want to teach you anymore. And I was like, well, she ain't lying. And it sucked to go into the practices or into the lessons unprepared, trying to clonk my way through it. But man, those people that there's a piano in a room and they can walk in and they just start playing and the vibe changes instantly. And they're so magnetic and they just change the way everything feels in the room because they're over there playing. And those are the magical people.
I'm going to send you, both of like my mother and my grandmother have passed. My mom passed about 5 years ago. And before, I'm glad I had the awareness. So because we were in different towns, like where I grew up in, my grandmother's in different places. So a lot of times when they got together, and they were at church services, they would play Amazing Grace. And the last couple times that they did it, I recorded it. So I'm gonna send that to you. It's pretty.
Oh,
it's
I will
pretty
love
awesome.
that. That was my
Yes.
grandfather's favorite.
Yeah.
Amazing Grace was his favorite. And he
Man.
loved bagpipes. And so we had a
Oh.
bagpiper play Amazing Grace at his funeral. He was military, World War
Yep.
II vet.
Yep.
And I mean, you want to know when the tears started really rolling was when we heard that bagpipe fire up and play Amazing Grace. It was absolutely beautiful. That's so wonderful that you got that on video.
It is. I'm glad I had the sense of awareness to do it.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many things that I would love to go back and ask my grandparents. And even my dad passed almost 10 years ago now. And gosh, what I wouldn't do for an afternoon of just asking so many questions now that I'm older.
Yeah. Yeah, those moments are precious moments. Um, that's what I tell people now, because like in the last 13 to 15 years, I've lost four of my starting five. you know, and so I tell people that are experiencing, a sick parents, or if they, ailing, hey man, be in the moment and enjoy all of those moments, because you don't know when you won't have them. So like you said, ask the questions, be present. If you have to stop what you're doing for a moment of 2 or 3 months to make sure they're good, like you won't regret that.
Yeah, yeah. I have a saying, we take care of our relationships. And it's been something that I've absolutely lived by and really gave me a lot of clarity on my purpose and being able to keep my work in perspective of like, hey, what really matters most, and where are you actually not irreplaceable in your life. And that's going to be a family, a friendship, being a mom or caring for your children or for your elderly parents. Like those are those things that are where you truly are irreplaceable.
No doubt.
Yeah. So here's an interesting question for you. I want to know about a time where you were helping someone else and that gave you clarity on your purpose.
Probably the first time, and I remember this feeling to today. So was one of the leaders at my high school was asked to go over to this elementary school, which was the elementary school that I went to, which was also the elementary school where my mother worked. And they asked us to do a panel to just talk to the kids, right? And just sharing my story and my journey. And then, they got to ask questions about like our experiences and some of the things that we had done. And that was really the first time that man, it kind of ignited the fire within me to realize that, like, man, I may be able to help somebody with like the things that I've been able to experience. Like I can share that with someone and help them be better. And so like it did two things. It helped me with my awareness of how I was operating like on a day-to-day basis. But then also it helped me with the awareness to see those things too, right? So now, fast forward as I, got a little older, go to college. Now I can tell those high school guys, hey, this is what it takes to make it to college. This is what I did to be able to play college football, like this. And then, once in my career, okay, once I'm in this career, well, this is what I did to get to this career. And this is the path that you will have to take to do this. Now, along this journey, I did this, which slowed me down. You don't do that. So you can move more efficiently, those things, look out for those things. And so I think that was kind of the first time I realized that I got the bug, if you will.
Yeah, to help others. What's when you go and do your keynotes, what is the primary message that you're sharing with your audiences?
So for me, I feel it's not like I'm a really genuine, authentic guy, right? I'm really an introvert, like out from an interview, or like I'm really a quiet dude. Like I might not say a lot of words. I see a lot. I'm not gonna say a lot, and I'm okay with that because I know who I am and I'm comfortable who I am, right? But my passion allows me to come alive, right? My passion ignites that fire within me, and so when I speak, I just speak from a place of my experiences, right? The things that I've done. Like I talked to you about my journey. The impact of influence. I've had lots of people that have influenced me in my life, and that's my book series, The Impact of Influence. There's been amazing people that have influenced me in my life, and so they influenced me in such a manner that it's impacted me and caused me to be who I am today. And so, I really hone in on first speaking on that, just to help people with the awareness to know that, man, like, no, you're important. Like what you do, it's important. The world needs what you got, right? And so just helping with that. I'm big into leadership, lots of leadership development, pouring into leaders, helping them be better. And so I think that those are, and then I think the most recent thing that's been on my heart really is like legacy, understanding your legacy, and mentoring. Help, and it's all really just tied to service. The heart of service. The title of this is all really tied into that.
Can you think of like a story from your book that you would want to share on the podcast of maybe when someone served you or you served someone and it really kind of changed the trajectory of your life? Like a specific story?
Oh yeah, I got a lot to those. Uh, it's like because I'm a product of a whole lot of people loving me, Tara. Um, I think the most. I'll share this one. There's one when I was a kid, and it wasn't as much the actions directly to me, but it was more so what I was able to observe and the feelings that came from that, right? The reactions. So, I talked to you, about, me growing up in church. I was at an event, I think it was in Austin, Texas. Man, I couldn't be any more than 10 years old. And we were at this event. It was my mom, myself, and my younger sister. And this lady walks up to my mother, like she's excited to see my mom, right? And she's like, "Hey, it's so good to see you." She's excited, right? Like I'm looking, she's excited, and I can see my mom like, "Oh yeah, it's good to see you too." Like you can tell she really don't know who this lady is,
Yeah.
right? Like she doesn't know who this is.
We've all been there.
Uh, yeah, I've been there. Like, oh, okay, yeah. Then the lady goes on to say, "Hey, I loved your grandmother," and my mom was like, "Oh yeah, she was a great lady," yada yada yada. And the lady goes and say, "No, no, no, you don't understand. I loved your grandmother." And so she goes on to tell this story about how when she grew up as a kid, like her family, they were dirt poor, like they were very poor, right? And she said, "I would miss school because we couldn't afford the things, even like the personal hygiene things that I needed for me to be clean to go to school." And she said, your grandmother cared so, which was my great grandmother. She cared about me so much. She would ask me, like, "Baby, why you missing school? Like we miss you. We need you to be here. To get you so you can learn." She was concerned. And then finally, she said she trusted her enough to tell her that she couldn't afford those things. And she said, "Your grandmother bought those things for me so that I could come to school. Your grandmother bought me a coat so I could come to school and not be cold." And so, like, I mean, you could just see, like, and she's like, it starts crying, right? And I'm like, man, that is amazing, right? Like, that's my family that did that, right? And so, like, that kind of showed me that was one of the things that has been and is really important to me, really understanding the sacrifices that those that have come before me, the sacrifices that they have made to allow me to be able to do the things that I do, right? So the things that I do, I'm intentional. It's important to me to make sure that I'm on point, to take care of business and do things the right way, to make sure that I make those people proud. Because it's not about me, it's bigger than me. It's not just a fluff thing, a show up, whatever, fly by the seat of your pants. No, I'm intentional about what I do because, like, it's people that have come before me that have been intentional about what the difference that they have made in the lives of others. And then fast forward, and my mother did the same thing to people in my hometown. We would go places, and I would see people see my mom. She wouldn't even see them, and they would just smile. Come on, right? Like, like they would just smile. Like I would see people see her and just smile. I mean, like, man, that's making a difference. And then when I got to be a head coach in my hometown, there's a lot of people that took care of me. I believe that it wasn't because it was Chip. I believe it was because of my other family members. Man, there was this guy that he was one of my mother's students, and as a little boy, he liked to go fishing. And when he would, because we lived like, a few miles, 5, 6 miles from a river, the Brazos River. So his family, when they would go fishing, he would always bring my mom fish. Yeah, and so like for catfish, and so when I got the job there, I get this call one day. I don't know who it is. Like this guy calls me, like, "Hey man, this is so and so." I won't say his name. Man, your mom was my teacher. I used to always bring her fish. And, same thing like my mom said with the lady. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's nice. Yes, she was a great lady, right? He's like, man, I still go fishing, and when I go fishing again, I'm gonna call you, and you come out and bring your son, and we'll give y'all some fish. I ain't think nothing of it. About 2 weeks go by, the guy calls me. He's like, man, why don't y'all come out to my house, and I got some fish. You can come pick you some fish or whatever. And I was like, cool. So I go out there, and I'm not much of the outdoorsman, and all that. Like I'll eat fish, but but I
I
don't
know.
know.
I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know
you're
about
not a
how
fisherman.
the cleaning and all of that. No, but I'll eat it. I'll tear it up. But so we get out here, we get to his house, and my son is with me. And you talk about an experience. So he's like, "Hey, y'all come over here." He's got like 2 huge coolers full of fish. Like, let your son pick out whatever fish he wants, and I'll clean it and cut it right here. So my son, like, yeah, like, so he picks out a couple of the fish, and he put it up on the thing, and put it on the nail, and he's scaling them. My son is like, wow, right? Like just like those experiences, and so kind of a long story, but just to say, like, it's just a tradition of giving service. From the story of my great grandmother to my mom, and now like I said, my son is benefiting, seeing some of the benefits of that from me as well.
Hey, it's Tara here, and I am so excited to let you know that the second edition of my book, Be Who You Came to Be, is officially on pre-sale. I originally self-published the book, and now a publishing house has picked up the book, and I'm so excited and so honored that this book will be available in bookstores across the country. However, you don't have to wait till it gets into the bookstore to get your copy. You can go to my website and sign up for your very own pre-sale book, which includes new secrets, new emotional intelligence takeaways to help you step into your authenticity and be exactly who it is that you came to be. Look, you don't need a self-help book to help you fix what's broken. You're not broken. You just need to become more of who you already are. It's why I poured my heart into this book, and I am so excited that a copy is waiting for you. Head over to my website now and get your copy. Yeah. I do worry about this next generation and if they're going to have that service heart with, you think about how much technology has changed just how people show up in their communities. I still see so much of it in our small communities. It's still the heart of those communities is service. My boys go to a Catholic high school, so they are required to do service, and they go and do, whether they're volunteering to help run camps or they're working at the local thrift shop. Or this year, my son, he was low on service hours, and so he ended up partnering with a hospice type house where they love it for the kids to make cookies and bring them in and have just baked goods to share. And there's so many people out there who do need help and who do need love. And there's a really interesting statistic that says that in your lifetime, you will come into contact with 80,000 people. Now, these are obviously they're not all going to be, major relationships or friends, but it's 80,000 actually interactions. And I think we all know, like, when we have that service, that leadership, that love in our heart, how we show up even in those small interactions really matters. Do you look people in the eye? Do you talk to them? Are you grateful? I was just at the post office this week, and I always feel so bad. The postal workers, they never seem happy. They never do. But this week, I was in there, and I just was like, I'm just going to ask some conversations and tell this person, hey, I appreciate you. And when I left, she looked at me, she's like, thank you. I just wanted to let you know, I loved having you in here. Like, I just appreciated you talking to me.
All of those little things make a difference, right? Mm-hmm. Like to It doesn't take a lot of effort to do
It
that,
doesn't.
to smile. Right? It doesn't take a lot of effort
Smile.
to do. Yeah, you know, it doesn't take
Yeah.
a lot of effort to say thank you, right? To hold the door open, to tell someone you're appreciative of them, and I believe that those things, like you talked about, are getting fewer and far between. But I believe that they're to be taught, right? And like you said, it's great that your sons, like at a Catholic high school, are made to serve. And like I said with my mother, like, boy, no, you're gonna give service, like you gonna do that. You choose which service, but you're gonna give service. And then teaching them, like, as a young kid, I taught my son how to shake hands with a firm handshake and look people in the eye and say nice to meet you. And I can't tell you how many people have told me that is impressive. Right? Like, no, like,
I've gotten that too. Even when my
yeah.
boys were little, I remember one time someone messaged me and she was like, "I ran into your mom. My mom is still alive, but she ran into my mom and she had one of the boys at Target or something." And they were like, "Oh, hey Ben." And she said, "It's Mrs. Anderson." And he's like, "Oh, hi Mrs. Anderson." Like, looked her in the eye, shook her hand, had this conversation with her, and she's like, "I would want someone to message me if my kid did this." And your son was just, he stopped, he took the time, he looked me in the eye, we had a conversation, he smiled. And I think that so many people, a lot of people need just even a smile and just
Oh,
that little bit of love
yeah.
that you can give to someone, because I think so many people are hurting and are going through hard things in their life.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. And I'll tell you this quick one. So I've done some book tours, different places. So I did a book tour in Tampa a few years back. And there was a guy that was there. He's an author as well. We connected, via podcast. I was in the area. So I'm grateful for him. He came out and showed support and love. And like, he hadn't met my family, like, who I was, it was all of us, we were there. And he met my son. And so, I didn't think anything of it. Like last year, on LinkedIn, there was some kind of post or something I posted about, doing the little things the right way, or something. I don't even remember what it was, but he commented on the post. This was like 3 years after that. He commented on the post. Uh, he isn't lying. Like, even when I met his son, he shook my hand with a firm handshake and looked me in the eye and said, "Nice to meet you." Right? I was like, wow. Like, I didn't even like I never even, like, it's just normal. I didn't even think anything about it. But it's awesome. Like, you have to do those things, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I love that this is like a legacy of things in your life. What is something that you learned from your mother or grandmother that's really stuck with you? Or you can give me a story on both of them, because that's what the listeners want. Give them what they want, Chip.
Ah, man, I just be a good person. At the end of the day, when I get to go visit the big man, like, I just hope that people can say, man, that Chip Baker, he was a good dude. And so, and though my mom, grandmother, even on my father's side, family on their side, just good people, good hearted people with good, pure intentions, right? Like, you knew when you were around those people, like, it was just an atmosphere of love. Like, I have college teammates even to the day, like like tell their kids, like, man, I used to love coming to visit with his family. Like, they gonna hug you, they gonna love on you, they gonna feed you, all of that. Just hearing that, and so, like, for me, man, if I can continue to do that, uh, I think I'd be all right.
I think that's such an interesting reminder too for anyone who's listening, that if someone's made an impact in your life, or they've made a difference, and you have the opportunity to tell someone that they know, whether that be a friend of theirs, their child, their colleague, just go out of your way to tell them, like, "Hey, I loved whoever, I loved Chip Baker, or I loved your dad, or I loved, your mom made this huge difference in my life, or your grandparent," or whatever it is. I think that when we take the time to do that too, it gives me so much pride if someone comes up to me and is like, I knew your grandfather. Let me just tell you, he was a heck of a guy. And I remember one, and then they tell me like a specific story that's not even some big story, but it was like, he gave my grandfather gave everyone, he loved to fish, Chip. He would have taken you fishing and he would have cleaned the fish for you too. But he gave every kid in this town, it was like one of his things. He always had a bunch of children's fishing poles up in his office, sitting around, and they'd come in and he'd be like, I got something for you. I want you to learn how to fish. Like, you're going to, and it was just those little things. Like, people talk about that. I remember a few years ago, I was working the concession stand at my son's basketball game, and this man comes up to me and he's like, hey, you're Tara Johnson Renze, right? I said, yeah. He's like, I just want you to know I knew your dad. And he's like, man, he was a heck of a guy. And he gave me a couple stories. Of course, I'm like crying, happy tears. And I was like, I just want you to know, like, I'm not sad that you brought this up. Like, I'm so grateful that you came up to me and told me these stories. And so many times people don't want to tell the story, especially if they've passed, because they think, oh, it's going to upset them or it'll make them sad. No, we want to hear the stories. Like, come and tell us the stories.
Man, just a couple of things I thought of when I went as you were saying that. First off, that's so good. It gave me chills when you shared that. That's so good. I think first, people don't have to do those things, and for it to mean enough to them to recall it and share that, I think is huge. Right? I just now, I'm of the age, and have done some things where it's really cool, where you will be standing there and people will share stories with my family about you. Like, like, hey guys, I'm right here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm standing right here. But it's cool. It's cool to see that, like, to hear some of my former players, like tell my son, man, your dad is a really good dude. You like,
Yeah,
like, man,
and that
man,
makes him proud.
yeah. Or like my mom, man, because I used to do a football camp in my hometown, and to have like some of my former players and guys like that would come back and tell my mother, like, man, Coach Baker, he's a really good guy, man. You've done a great job with him. Like, just things like that. Hey guys, I'm standing right here. Like, appreciate it.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Right.
As my son say, they call that now glazing.
Yeah. He's glazing. Yeah, he's glazing.
He's glazing me.
Yeah. That's good.
I'm like, hey, if they're glazing you, that's a good thing, because people don't glaze other people just to do it for fun.
If the shoe fit, wear it, man. Come on.
Yeah. All the lingo these days. That's one of my favorites. They were totally glazing me. Well, you're around a lot of young kids, or do you have this is totally on the side. What are some of all the lingo today just cracks me up. The no cap,
chat.
No cap,
chat.
What did they say the other day? Ben's like, just put the fries in the bag, which basically means let's go. Like,
yeah.
Gotta
get the bag. Yeah. All of that, man. That's cool. That keeps us young.
It does. I'm not above Googling. Like, okay, my son just said this. Like, what in the hell does that even mean?
Yeah, I know.
You've done it. I know you have.
No, really, on the cool. What's crazy is, I don't know. I'm a pretty cool cat, Tara.
I'm gonna put you
right.
on. I'm gonna get your text then, and you can just be my lifeline when I'm like, I just heard this, Chip. What does this mean?
Yeah, what is that? The Chip Dictionary, not the Urban Dictionary.
The Chip Dictionary. Oh my gosh. My trainer, I'm like, Chelsea, help out the white people here. Tell me what this means. And oh God, she gets to laughing so hard. I'm like, especially, me, the 48-year-old middle-aged white woman. Tell me, what does it mean? The Chelsea Dictionary. Anything else that you want to end on? I have one final question for you do you have any other stories you want to tell? Like something that popped into your head?
No, I think we've done good for me is highlighting those that have come before me, but I mean stories for days for sure. But I'm grateful for the organic combo to just be able to share those things too.
Mm-hmm. So I actually might have two more questions, and this one just made me think of it. But you've been an educator, you've been a coach, you have this podcast. Tell me about a time where you believed in someone that didn't believe in themselves, but because of your belief in them, they were able to ignite that spark.
Oh man, That's good. When I believed in someone that didn't quite believe in themselves, but it ignited the spark in them. I don't know. I just when I was a young guy, like a senior in high school, so like in my town, I played on varsity football as a freshman, and that was like a rare thing, right? One of the
Yeah,
probably
especially in Texas.
yeah, one of the three. I mean, it's a smaller school, but still, like
Yeah.
at that time, I think from the times that I knew of, that could remember, there had only been like three or four guys that had done that, and so it's a pretty neat thing. And then there was this freshman guy when I was a senior. We went to the same church, and I knew his family, and he had an older brother that was a really good basketball player in our town. That was like when I was in the eighth grade, he was a senior, and I looked up to him, right? So we all went to the same church, so knew the family and all that stuff. And so, this guy, like he had it, like he had all the skills, the attributes, the size, the talent, like all of that, but he just didn't see that, right? I think he's like the baby of the family, and so he didn't quite believe that he could. Uh, and this was kind of the first time I caught myself doing some leadership, like being a leader too. Like before I knew it, man, I had snapped and I was going off on him, right? like like he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. Like they were gonna give him an opportunity to play up, and he was pouting. Like, man, what are you doing? Like
Yeah.
like before I knew it, like I was going hard on him. Right? I was like, oh, I'm tripping. I need to back up. Right? But I think that was kind of one of the first times that I realized myself pouring into others when they didn't quite believe in themselves, and I saw like it was a shift in him too, from that moment, and he ended up being really good as well, and did far more than what he thought he could do. But then every day, as a teacher coach, every day you have students, co-workers, as a leader, people that I've hired that didn't quite see. I saw some skills in them that they didn't quite see in themselves, and it's cool when they go on to do great things like winning state championships or
Yeah.
just all those kind of things, and it's a blessing to be able to do that.
Yeah. I saw a post on LinkedIn once that was like, tag the person below who gave you an opportunity, who believed in you, who championed you, who mentored you, who did something for you that totally changed everything for you. And I think anyone who's listening right now can instantly be like, it was this person. And I know for me, it was my first boss. Instantly, it was my first boss. And I'd love to know who it was for you. My first boss out of college. I was not qualified for this job. It was back in like the fax your resumes days. You remember the fax where it would like fire up. I was a salesperson, so when the fax started going off, everyone would get really excited because it usually meant a contract was coming through. Like whose is it going to be? But yeah. So anyway, I faxed my resume. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and fax my resume for this job anyway. Like whatever. I faxed it over, thinking it would just go into the abyss of like fax heaven and never hear from the person again. The next day, I get a call. And he's like, hey, this is Jeff Taubman with Builders Publishing. He's like, and I got your resume for the national marketing director. He's like, I want you to know you're not qualified at all for this job, but there's something about your resume that's got me really curious, and I'd like to invite you in for an interview. And I was like, holy catfish, like, here we go. And I went in for the interview, and, I'd done my research. I showed up. I was, confident with what I could do for them, even though I didn't have the experience. And he totally took a chance on me, and we did kick ass together at that job. We had a lot of success, but it changed, one, how I showed up. It changed in believing in myself and being like, hey, you miss all the shots you don't take. But it also gave me this like resume booster from day one that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And he's still a friend to this day for what he did for me.
Yeah, you've got to. There comes a time, and I'll share this with you because you have boys. So I work with this teacher now, long time, long time. She, retired, got out of it a little bit, and then rehired here. I mean, and she was the Booster Club mom, where they won like 3 state championships. I mean, so she's seen like the stuff. She's raised boys like tough, like stop crying,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she said this: there comes a time when in every boy's life where he's gonna have to stand up and fight for what he believes in. In every boy's life, but you can take that even further. In every person's life, there's gonna come a time where you have to stand up and say, "Hey, I've put the work in to learn these skills. There's something that I want to try that I think that I can do that. But if I don't apply, if I don't send the facts, the resume, like I don't even get the opportunity. If I don't take the shot, there's no way I can make the shot if I don't take the shot. And so there comes a time in every person's life when you do that, when you have to step out and fight for what you believe in, and that builds, like you said, I love it. You said it the right way. That kicked in something within you. Now everything is like that. Like I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I know I'm going to try. Like I don't know. I don't know what I know I'm not. Like I can live with not getting the job, but I can't live with not trying to get the job. Like that's unacceptable. I'm not going to do that.
Well, and I think that when we have that quiet confidence, it shines brighter. It's not about being arrogant, but it's about like, hey, here's what I believe I can bring to the organization from a service standpoint, right? Or whatever it is, that here's what I can bring to help you and help you guys grow. I think that's like a huge, huge thing. So, okay, final question. And I would love to know how you applied this in your life, but do you think service is a mindset or an action or both?
Both, because and I think it's more than a mindset. I think it's a heart set, right? Because if you have pure intentions in your heart of service, then there's never any ill will or anything that you're doing, and that's backed by your actions, right? And so when you have a person, it's funny. I said this to somebody today about, man, I love yesterday. Man, I love being around good-hearted people, right? Like it just makes me smile, makes me feel good to say that. I love being around good-hearted people because, without a shadow of a doubt, they have good, pure-hearted intentions, and their intentions, good, pure-hearted intentions, are backed by good, pure-hearted actions, right? And so, it comes from a place of love because it comes from the heart. And so sometimes, they're gonna shoot you straight and tell you, "Hey, bro, you need to be better." like what you're doing, that is not good, right? And I know it's coming from a place of they want me to be better, not from a place of they're trying to get over on me or take advantage of me or make me look bad. It's like, well, I know without a shadow of a doubt where it's coming from. And if they're saying that to me, then I probably need to change what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. When people start pouring themselves into others and really, living for something bigger than themselves, I feel like we stop needing validation. Because we just don't need the validation anymore because we're seeing truly how we show up impacts others, and that mirror effect I think is so important. And I know you'll appreciate this as a keynote speaker, that every time I take a stage, every time I do anything, I do it, I call it the power of one. Like, hey, what if I showed up on the stage to change one life today? And that, whatever my message was, resonated with someone, and it changed how they felt about themselves, how they approach their relationships. That's enough. And it's so much easier to live life by the power of one than to try to, slay the dragon in the room. And every time I step into a keynote or anything I do with this power of one, what I found is it's like the infinity multiplier. And people actually feel like I'm reaching out to them versus trying to blanket the entire room. They say stuff like, God, I felt like you were talking to me. I felt like this message was for me. And it really just comes back to like, hey, if I could change one life, like, what would that do for the trajectory of the world?
Tara, it's funny you say that because we're in alignment with that. That was my goal once I knew I was going to be graduating from college, going into a career of education. My goal was just to change the life of one. Right? If I can make a difference in the life of one, then I would feel that um, it's been worth it. Right? It's been a good career. And then even going into like the speaking, same thing. If I could just, man, reach one, man, if one can get, you know, can get it from this, like that's great. Or even when I speak, I ask them to apply the things that I give them, and I ask them just apply one thing. Right? If you can apply one thing from what I give you today, then I feel that I valued your time. And just when you do that, I wholeheartedly believe it brings it bridges the gap of your closeness, and then it also, like you said, it's the great multiplier. It divides, and so as you were saying that, I was thinking of just this morning because I spoke to a group today. I was thinking of the faces and the interactions of each one of the ones in the room, right? Because I'm intentional about like if I'm speaking, I'm gonna find a couple people and I'm gonna look you in the eye and we're gonna talk, and and people will say like, man, it feels like you say, it's like he's talking right to me. Like it didn't feel like a speaker. It feel like we had just had a conversation, like we're just hanging out, and really that's what it's about. And so yeah, we're totally in alignment on that. And when we can do that, I think it ignites our fire because it shows us, it's proof to us that we are making a difference. And I love, 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 love. There's been a few times where I've seen there's been like people that have like they didn't even know they were doing. They were taking pictures like when I was speaking, and you could see a face like, or
Yeah.
like those reactions to what you say, like people being engaged, like
Yeah.
head
Yeah.
nods on the
Yeah.
video. You can see like all of that stuff, and so
Yeah.
even just today, just thinking of this one little girl. Like I was looking, like I was speaking, and I was looking. I said something. She was like, like a face. I was
For
like,
those of you listening, it's Chip with the big eyes and the open mouth going, yes, everything you're saying. I'm picking up what you're throwing down.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
another one, chat. No cap.
No cap. No cap. Oh my gosh. Well, it has been an honor, a pleasure to have you on the show today. No cap.
No cap. No, I really appreciate it. I've really been looking forward to it. And I'm truly grateful for the organic convo, man. This was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just want to leave our listeners, it's called the Be Who You Came to Be podcast, which was inspired by a note that my grandmother left to my son Ben almost 18 years ago. But so many times when I share the message, I leave off and we kind of the second sentence that follow that gets left behind. But the note said, "Be who you came to be. Love will guide you, and service is love, and taking care of other people is love." And I think when we lead with that love, when we put that love first, we can truly step into our authenticity and our power and exactly who we came to be. So thanks so much for listening to the show today. Go check out Chip Baker. We put everything in the show notes, but Chip, what's your favorite place to hang out where they should connect with you?
Instagram is my favorite, and it's at Chip Baker TSC, and really all of my social media is at Chip Baker TSC, except for X is Chip Baker 19.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for having you on the show. We appreciate it. Everyone, keep shining your light, live unapologetically authentic, and be who you came to be.